Yeah, I expected a lot more people to either show up or not.
Yeah, you had more people on the list at the beginning. That happens.
Yeah.
You just started this meetup? Have you done a meetup before?
No. I've been to plenty of them, so I know what to expect.
Yeah. Get ready for, lots of people who don't show up and all that nonsense.
Especially once I put, that the coffee place was closed for...
Yeah, probably a good idea that you told everybody that.
Yeah. Especially if they expect the morning coffee, because I'm the same way. I already had a couple.
So you said they're closed for like repairs or whatever.
Yeah.
They're taking a winter break.
I was here last week and they were open.
Yeah, and I thought more things would be open. Like there's a place around the corner you can get breakfast. I didn't notice it. I just looked down that way when I came down there.
Yeah, I usually come here every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And most places aren't open till like 10 anyway.
Yeah. I'm gonna just walk over there and see.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Actually, it's a place over there that looks like they're getting ready to open that has like biscuits and sausage and stuff like that.
I'm not opposed to any breakfast foods.
Yeah, like maybe figure out like when the food kind of starts opening and maybe
that's a better time to do it.
on getting breakfast. I didn't eat anything. I was planning on getting breakfast here.
And once it's warmer, I think places open up a little earlier and there's more people. But...
I moved here in January and I came over here. I said, the farmer's market sounds like cool because it sounded like some other places I'd been to before I moved.
Yeah.
And then I got up here like, really bad.
Yeah. Especially in the mornings. Summertime it'll pick up a little bit. So you said you moved here in January?
January, yeah. So right before the tornado and then obviously right before COVID.
Yeah. The Australian wildfires too, but I don't think that accounted to us as much. No. Where'd you move from?
Atlanta.
Okay. So it's not...
It's not drastically different, but it's different for me because I wasn't way the hell out in the suburbs, but I was in suburbs.
Yeah.
Now I'm in the Gulch. So I went from townhome to high-rise apartment to didn't really walk in my neighborhood. I could walk a little bit to trying to walk as much as possible where I'm at.
That
now.
gives you a little more sightseeing and people watching in the Gulch, though.
Yeah. I'm not sure I love the Gulch. I think I might like up here better.
Yeah.
East Nashville better, as long as you go around where it's walkable. Maybe like 2 miles into a neighborhood.
Well, next to a park or something.
I want to be able to go get a coffee or a beer, or tea or beer or whatever. I want to be able to get out and walk and go to places, not have to get in a car and drive. Especially when I'm going to go. I want a brewery I can walk to. I don't have to drive to go drink.
You can't do that in the suburbs of Atlanta.
You can do it in a few areas. Atlanta, do you know Atlanta much?
Not terribly much.
Atlanta is a city of little cities.
Yeah, I know how big it is and how long it takes me to get through it.
Well, the city of Atlanta is only 10% of the whole population because it happens to just be small.
Yeah.
But then all the other little cities,
surrounding areas,
a lot of them all have their own little like neighborhoods. A lot of them have their historic downtown areas. Some of them are really nice. If you happen to live next to one of them, that's a nice walkable environment. But it's not an urban environment.
How long were you in Atlanta?
22 years.
Okay, so that's been home.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I lived there longer than I lived anywhere else. We're pretty close. So,
why the change
to here? I was just in a rut. I wanted to physically move. 12 years in the place I was living in, I just physically was bored with my surroundings and wanted something different. So I would have moved to an in-town, kind of Germantown-like part of Atlanta if I had stayed. But then I'm like, well, that means I'm probably buying. I guess I could have lived. I'm probably buying. Probably not renting. I'm probably buying. That means I'm basically committed.
Then you're really committed.
I'm committing to another decade.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a decade, but could be a decade in Georgia. Like, why not just go somewhere? So I literally sold all my furniture.
Okay.
Every bit of it. I brought my desk chair. Sold all my furniture and donated.
Must be a good desk chair.
Donated it's a kneeling chair.
What?
Have you seen those? It's like a stool. It's basically like this bench. Like you're sitting on this bench, but there's something under your knees.
Okay.
And that's it. And you can't slouch forward, and you really don't fall back. Backs of chairs are kind of overrated. You don't really go backwards, and you don't slouch forward.
It's called a kneeling chair.
It's called a kneeling chair, yeah. They may have other names, but it's a kneeling chair. It's literally just a little bench, but with a knee rest. I used to do corporate real estate among other things, and we bought $600 chairs, and people sat on the front 2 inches of it.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, why did I buy that chair?
When it was so simple.
Yeah, and it really kind of got rid of my upper back problems that I had at the time.
Good, yeah, because I've even got the little back strap to help the posture thing.
Yeah, no, this keeps you from going too far forward because your knees are there. You really have to like stretch to move forward. Yeah, very simple little thing.
So you got rid of everything.
I got rid of everything. I donated like 80% of my crap.
Yeah.
Because I'd gone the total wrong direction and moved started in the far out suburbs. With a 4-bedroom house, which my mom filled with furniture she didn't want when she retired to Florida.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really want, but I felt the need to fill a house. And then, you never throw anything away.
You have the space.
You never throw anything away because you've got, 18 closets or whatever. So when I moved to the townhome, I still didn't get rid of that much. And then I was just like I was, in a bit of a minimalist kick.
I get that.
Have you ever seen the Minimalist show on Netflix?
100%, yeah.
I was kind of a little bit in that kick. Like,
you only wear so many t-shirts a day.
Exactly. So, so I must have loaded 15 carloads in my car to take stuff to Goodwill after I sold the furniture on Facebook. And then when I moved here, I still had a little too much. I got pretty close to getting rid of everything I needed. So I started here from scratch. So I figured that was so the point of that story was that was a good time to say, you know what, go rent a small high-rise apartment.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do it and pay to put stuff in storage.
And you're not committed to anything.
Not committed to a damn thing. I thought strongly about moving to Austin because I went to school there.
Yep. And that's the hot spot to move to.
That's a very hot spot, but it's maybe too hot. And so I was like, physically, literally, and figuratively. And I figured, go to Nashville. Like it, go somewhere else. Because you don't have anything. Like, like a mover's hour to load a U-Haul when you're signed.
So no kids, nothing.
And I have no kids. And I had no pets at the time I moved. So, literally I could do anything I wanted.
So you got a pet now?
I need to get a dog. I have a friend who I borrow her dog.
Yeah.
if I'm not working when she is, she just gives me the dog. So
it gives you as a little companion.
Yeah, and it's cheaper than owning a dog, but I think I need to have a dog.
If you look at big, small, medium.
I told myself I wanted like a 40-pound dog, but she has a golden retriever, and I really fall in love with golden retrievers. So I feel a little guilt. There's a little bit of guilt doing that in an apartment. Not that I won't be good about getting the dog out.
Yeah.
We have an indoor dog run inside the garage.
Wow.
They took a corner of the parking garage and astroturfed it and closed it off, and so you can run.
That's cool.
The dog can run around in there. It's
especially indoor too.
Yeah, it's maybe like the size of that little area there from the doors to the edge here. It's pretty big.
Yeah, that's very big.
It's a pretty big area. Like a big dog can actually get a little bit of a run.
Yeah.
A little bit of a run, and then it can pee in there. So you don't have to, in this weather, you don't have to go outside. But it's not the same as opening your back door and letting the dog run out.
I mean, I feel guilty as well. I moved here when is it? Not this past November, but the November before it. So I'm freshly too.
So you're only a few months ahead of me.
Yeah, but I'm from East Tennessee, so
Nashville's your backyard.
Not yet. And it doesn't feel like home or backyard yet, so I'm trying to make it that of some sort. Yeah, I'm with you. I've got a huge backyard, and I need a dog, but also don't want to commit to one either. So it just gets in that.
I had been traveling for a while, and I'm kind of retired, so I was traveling for a while, and that was obviously dog unfriendly.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, when I'm not going to move to a new city and rent a, frankly, very expensive apartment, and then travel. Like, that's dumb.
Use it.
So I'm gonna learn this. I'm gonna get a dog. I'm gonna live in the city, and then I kind of talked myself out of a dog during COVID. It was probably wrong.
Yeah.
It was probably the opposite
of what should have happened.
What I should have done, but I did.
Well, we didn't know how long it would last, and
yeah, I felt like I'm I want to get out and socialize with the dog, and if I can't do that.
Especially if you can walk to a brewery with it. But
yeah, exactly.
If they were all closed, you couldn't do anything for it.
So, yeah, my excuses are running out of there. It's just I just need to get past the breed choice. I never owned a dog, and so I'm not that familiar with any of the breeds, to be honest. what's going on for you?
My aunt sells golden doodles, so if you need one, let me
I
know.
think I want a real golden retriever. All my friends have like a doodle something.
They're the most like consistent, like everybody loves them.
Yeah.
Other than corgis, there's a big corgi population.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've met one, but they're pretty cool.
I've seen some corgis.
But they're definitely not going to chase a ball like a golden retriever.
This golden retriever I dog service really sucks at chasing balls. She was good at first. I know her on it. And
just kind of grabs it and then just doesn't bring it back, or
barely even does it at all. She does like to run with you. If you go running, she'll run with you.
Okay.
She's kind of socially awkward with other dogs too. And she hates trains, which really isn't a good Nashville trait to have.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get used to that.
Yeah. I walked her from the Gulch here when I was watching her. Actually, just last week. You got to be very train aware of like how close you are to the trains. She's just scared to shitless about trains.
So you were in Atlanta 22 years. You did real estate.
I did some corporate real estate for my company, but my main job was IT.
Okay, so plenty of job security in that field.
At the time, yeah. Well, until we got bought. My job got eliminated. They gave me a different job, but that was a big shock. I ran my own group for the whole time I was there. Kind of had a pretty good environment where I, kind of do what I wanted to do. I mean, I did the right things, but like didn't have a lot. We weren't that big a company. Didn't have a lot of bureaucracy. Didn't have a boss breathing down my neck that was an asshole. And then I shifted to a new job.
So, are you working now?
I started volunteering during lockdown, and then got hired at the Nissan COVID drive-in testing site.
Well,
my memory of 2020 is doing that.
How many people would you say? How many people do go through there?
We're about 1,000 a day right now. It got down. It was hardly any at the beginning because they were also kind of being restrictive, trying to limit who could come because they were ramped up. And then I think like in July we hit 1,000 on like the worst day, which was like the Monday after July 4th weekend. We hit 1,000.
That makes sense.
And then it's just steadily dropped through September, at least mid-October. And actually, literally, whatever day Trump announced his COVID test, our volume literally jumped 50% that day and consistently seemed to be 50% up from then on out.
Huh.
And then it's double what that was, double now.
Yeah, because I figured with all the holidays, everybody just wants to clear themselves, which I did as well. That was the only time I got tested.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting COVID, spent Christmas at home, like...
Same here.
You got it as well?
I got COVID 3 days before I was supposed to get vaccinated. Although somebody who got vaccinated got COVID 7 days after they were vaccinated, which is a known risk. It's not enough time. So I don't know which is worse for me to have not gotten vaccinated or to got vaccinated and get it anyway. And I don't know they won't let me. They won't offer. Medically I'm allowed to get the vaccine, but they just said they're not going to offer it to me for 90 days, just because
you've already had it.
I'm kind of a waste of the vaccine. Maybe they'll change their mind or whatever. Something like they said, we'll put you on this. It's kind of a waste.
Do you feel like that's understandable?
Yeah, it was just frustrating.
Yeah, you're so close.
Yeah,
I was right there.
But not really that close because I would have had to made it 3 or 4 more weeks, to be safe. So who knows? I mean, it's bad now. Like
so did you lose?
I went from knowing hardly anybody personally to knowing a bunch of people personally.
By getting COVID?
Just more and more people I know. I mean, just the saturation of people with COVID is so high right now.
Yeah.
That
and I don't know.
I was doing mostly the right things. I just had a few friends that I decided they were in my bubble, and
now they
got it. I didn't get it at work.
So did you lose smell and taste?
My symptoms would have been described as a mild cold.
Okay.
I tested negative on a Friday.
Okay.
Became aware of my likely exposure that weekend, and then tested positive on Monday.
Okay.
From the point when I knew I was exposed to someone who had tested positive, it was a couple days, and I felt like maybe I had like the most mild respiratory conditions,
Yeah.
something that you would have just attributed to allergies in any other year.
Yep.
And then I tested on Monday, and then about the time and then when I woke up Tuesday, I still didn't have my results till later in the day. But when I woke up Tuesday, I knew something was off. Like the first thing I put in my mouth made me nauseous. My headache and congestion was much worse, but I never had loss of taste and smell. I never had a fever. I monitored my blood oxygen. I never had blood oxygen issues.
I don't think I ever got the nauseous feeling, like eating something.
The first bit of food I put in my mouth today, I might feel for just a whiff. Like I never ran to the bathroom to get sick.
Yeah.
But you just
know something.
It just felt, your stomach felt off. And I wasn't even that tired. You hear about people who like can barely get out of bed. They get chills, sweats, fever, and massive fatigue. I didn't have that the week I was sick, which was over. I was over before Christmas, but I feel it now. Like I was going to a meetup last night, and I had just no motivation to go. Like I probably could have, I could have downed a Red Bull and went, but I was just like, well, then I'll kind of not sleep well and feel shitty tomorrow. So, but it's gotten better. It was like a week later, like I was dying at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, it's not a sleepy fatigue.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like if you went on a 10-mile hike and you come home kind of fatigue. But it was here. I kind of feel it here, like in my upper body.
It's just the motivation. It was just like
the motivation doesn't help.
Yeah. And like I couldn't taste or smell anything, and I still wanted to eat crappily.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. Like it was still pizza. It was still.
And you were still eating? Because I've talked to people who are like, yeah, I didn't really want to eat.
I didn't have the appetite, but I work out just to eat. So like eating's my drug.
You just ate from habit.
Yeah.
But you couldn't taste the pizza, or was it just slightly there?
When I first realized that I had it, I put an array of candles in front of me. So I was at my dad's, and I just like picked up and smelled like it's pretty bland, and then I just went next and nothing. And he was like, "Well, you got to go home.
Yeah,
you can't be here.
You can't be here because those candles have scents, right?
100%. One was like a cranberry something, and
somebody was telling me that I went and looked for some Listerine, and I drank that. Nothing.
That would have been smart. Yeah.
Nothing.
Weirdly enough, sweet things I could taste, but if it was savory, nothing. Sweet things were easy. Just weird.
Yeah. And is it back?
Yeah, I'm fine now.
You feel like it's 100% back?
Other than the fact I burnt my tongue on sweet potato casserole yesterday, so I'm not tasting much.
Yeah.
But
outside, but prior to that, you feel like it's 100% back. I feel like sometimes when I go out, I just don't maybe feel excited about eating stuff as much. Like maybe it's a little off.
It's changed the habit or pattern. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I mean, I had low appetite for a few days, but that was mostly I was just pissed off and depressed and mad I got COVID.
There was a mad factor to it. I don't know why. It's just like you go through this.
The person that gave it to me was not really that cautious, so it's not really a surprise.
I had been.
Shouldn't be shocked.
Have you been to Gatlinburg, Tennessee? Okay.
I've been there.
Yeah. Great place to go. It's the most visited national park in the world.
Okay.
But we were down
Smoky
there.
Mountains on the east side?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have been over there. I was over there briefly.
Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, anywhere. It's a beautiful place, but we were there walking around, even masked up, and that's where we got it. That's where I got it.
Around it from other people, just random encounter?
I think, just walking around. Because next thing I know, everybody in our bubble that weekend
had it.
And I was tested before that.
I don't know, you don't know, you'll never know, but I'm gonna bet one of your party came in with you.
We all got tested before.
Doesn't matter. I got tested on Friday and I didn't have it, but I think I was probably exposed. I was probably exposed on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think I was exposed on Tuesday, most likely. Like I know I was exposed to this person on Tuesday, and based on now, in hindsight, she's like, in hindsight, I realize now that I had symptoms. And then I know people who likely have COVID or definitely have COVID, and I backtracked to the prior week before that. So like, I likely might have tested positive on Friday afternoon, but I didn't. I absolutely didn't test positive on Friday morning.
So you killed this person that gave you COVID.
Some days I want to.
Some people get frustrated.
But See, that's where I think she got. I think she had some exposure at work, but that was a little more brief and a little outside. But then she had a weekend with 6 girls in Blue Ridge, Georgia. And then the next weekend she had another just dinner party with 6 girls. I'm like, and some of them never got tested, and some of them admitted later they had symptoms. And I'm like,
because that's another thing.
You don't get it. I mean, statistically, you don't get it from your vacation. You get it from your friends.
Yeah, because you're just pushing your car right along people. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't really get the whole touching thing. I even brought hand sanitizer.
Oh God, I'm so over the touching thing. That of all the things the country did wrong at the beginning, that getting people.
Unless you invested in hand sanitizer.
Yeah, exactly.
Those stocks were.
I mean, I have so much hand sanitizer I'll never use.
Yeah.
I was never really great about using it before.
It didn't change much either. I washed my hands for like a couple days, and then
the Apple, they added a feature of the Apple Watch that lets you know that you've washed for 20 seconds, and it'll shake your arm. Do you have one?
I've got a Droid.
It'll tap it has a little thing where you feel it tapping your, touching your, making a vibrating thing and feeling against your skin. So while you're washing, it'll do something. It'll be like, oh hey, let's see how you've done. Oh, that was 3 seconds.
Yeah. So now I'm guilty just for doing something extra I never did to begin with, like flossing or something.
Yeah, everybody, like every time they're like, oh, our restaurant, some of our employees at our restaurant have COVID, so we're going to shut down and sanitize. And fucking deal. Just open the doors and windows for 24 hours. Maybe on the New York City subway you're getting it from door handles.
Yeah.
But you're not getting it. I mean, I'm in a high rise and I was like touching every doorbell with my elbow.
Yeah. So depending on your circumstance as well, do you have a 98-year-old grandmother you take care of?
Do you have are you at high risk? Do you have an immune compromised situation? And certainly. I mean, again, if she got it at one of these groups of 6 or 8 girls, why didn't they all get it?
Yeah.
Why she was on a date with a guy on Wednesday when I was hanging out with her on Tuesday, and I don't think he got it.
Also, telling people you had symptoms, that's another. It was for me too. It was like, I don't feel good, but I don't want to go out and say I have a certain thing. As soon as I lost my smell and taste, I was like, it's not just allergies.
That's a big fucking
I've never been sick enough in my life to not be able to smell hot marinara.
Right. And that's just a weird thing, right? It's not like you could have had a fever and been sick in that way, but not lost your taste and smell. It's just a sort of weird thing. I'm not sure they've explained.
So what you drinking?
Tea. It's black tea.
Good deal. Didn't know if I saw like creamer in it or anything.
Black tea. I tried to do the fasting thing.
It's good. How long have you done that?
More than a year, and I'm not doing a very good job of it consistently, and I'm not doing anything else, so it's probably a plateau. Its usefulness is plateaued.
Agreed.
But I would generally skip breakfast and pick up something at lunch, and then that would leave me time to go out and get a drink, something to eat, and get a drink later in the night. I'd still do like 16 hours, depending on how late I am.
So you're doing like a 12 to 8, 1 to 9? Or...
Yeah. Like 12 to 8.
The tough thing's at night getting a drink. That's where...
that screws it up. Unless I didn't eat until 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to
get to go.
But I think I don't know about the whole fasting. The main benefit is like basically like breakfast and then 2 other meals. It's just minimum calories extra that I would have eaten.
And I usually have a bigger dinner because I do fasting as well. I have bigger dinner because I skip breakfast.
Yeah. I do try not to eat a big meal before I go to sleep, so that adding that little timeline rule helps a little bit. So if I eat it, sometimes I don't. Especially with the time zones here, the way the kids start so early, I like going until like sometimes I eat at 5 or 6.
How's that adjustment been for you? Because I moved here once before
and you were in the Eastern time zone from where you were. Yeah, it's fucking weird because I was like, oh, I'm sure like it's like 30 minutes later than Atlanta when the sun rises, and then I looked it up. It's 3 minutes later than Atlanta. So basically, we're a whole hour off. And in the morning, I don't care, but obviously in the evening, it's like, hey, let's go out and do something. Oh, it's black. It's 5:30. I'm
just
dark
leaving work, and it's already dark.
So with my work hours, I have to get up early anyway. So I'm up at like 4. I was probably up at 4 this morning. And
how much sleep do you get?
I'm trying to get 8 to 7. I probably haven't slept 8 hours in a long time, but I'm trying to get 7. So,
okay.
You know, again,
you're getting exactly what you need.
Again, it gets dark early. It's cold. It's COVID. So I don't know anybody. So I'm not really out that late.
And when you finally moved here, everything shut down. So you couldn't meet anybody either.
Right. I went on like every meetup I could for the first couple weeks, and then by the time the weather got nice, I met a few people, alumni connections. I met some people through meetups, but I wasn't working. So then all that stopped, and I was sitting by myself.
Yeah, it's still just going to meetups, not developing a group of friends, which is tough. Yeah. Especially right now, because people do have their bubbles in a way.
When I had moved, my last move in Georgia was 12 years ago, 13 years now. That might have also been kind of when meetup was getting really popular. So I joined some meetups and found a great group, and 30 people from that meetup group in Atlanta. No, some closer friends than others, but just 30 people I literally wouldn't know otherwise. They weren't part of my neighborhood connections or work connections or friends of friends connections.
So you could say, hey, let's go to a bar and watch the game. Or
at minimum do the meetups with them, and then you get there and you know people. You go to the meetup, you see each other. At minimum you go there, or maybe you organize, you friends and you do stuff outside. But I didn't have a lot of time.
I get it.
Didn't have a window of time for that.
So was most of your family? I know you lived with your mom. Is that correct? Did you live with your mom in Atlanta?
No. My parents retired to Florida.
Okay.
I lived with my mom's furniture for a while.
Okay, that's what it was. She was feeling it.
She downsized and gave me her crap because I was upsizing for no good reasons. They retired to Florida, but my parents both passed away about 5 years ago. Okay. So my brother lives down where they are, in the Cape Coral area. So it's really just me and my brother. Fort Myers.
Okay.
Fort Myers. Just me and my brother. He has no family. I have no family. So.
Well, life is your oyster. I'm not a big fan of oysters.
Right, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Flip side, the other part is there's nothing to do for Christmas anymore.
Stinks.
Yeah, we took trips for either together or separately, maybe one or the other, Thanksgiving and Christmas for the last 4 or 5 years. We just took trips.
Do you mind if I get personal?
Okay.
So I have both my parents. I have all my grandparents somehow. What was it like grieving that first year?
It's crappy.
Yeah.
So we lost them at the same time. Okay. 5 months. Mom was a smoker, and she was on a pretty downward track at that point. And then my dad got a brain tumor. We had no.
Did he know?
He didn't know. He had a family history of Alzheimer's. Okay. And we convinced ourselves that we were going to start seeing symptoms, and we did.
Yeah.
And they may have been general cognitive decline because things started a while ahead of time, just changing habits, not golfing, not doing whatever he did. And then he definitely had some mental episodes, and even did have at least an X-ray, if not an MRI, 6 months earlier. Nothing came up. And then one day, my brother who lived down there was driving around with him, and somewhere in the conversation, he got a weird feeling. He goes, "Dad, when is your birthday?" Couldn't get an answer out of him. They couldn't tell him what his birthday was. So they basically don't know the energy. Found a tumor, an MRI. Previous year, he died in hospital. Same thing John McCain had. It wouldn't have been operable. There might have been medical treatments. We could have stretched it out. That's its pros and cons. He could have survived longer. And Mom physically in trouble by that point. Though I didn't realize that not living down there, I had really kind of not in touch with her level of difficulty at that point. And she said, I'm done. She demanded to be taken off oxygen when she ended up in the hospital. I don't know if you have any experience with COPD, but
I don't.
And I really didn't either. I really probably wish I learned more what she was going through. But once you get put on a ventilator, I mean, you may have learned this from the whole COVID experience. Once you get put on a ventilator, the odds of you getting off are low. The odds of you being normal when you get off are once you're already on it. And that was where she basically was not. So she died in hospice 5 weeks after that. And that was Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, like, I'm just...
Happy holidays.
So starting that next year and for the next several years, we were just like, there really wasn't anywhere to go to have the same Christmas experience anyway. This year we went to a friend's for Thanksgiving, so that was nice. But yeah, we gave up on that. But that year sucked. That was also when I decided to quit my job. Stop working.
We needed that mental time, too. Your job being bought out, it's like, I don't want to mentally deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, I'd been there already a few years, but it was like a different job. It wasn't the job I
signed up for.
Yeah. The job I had was never to I really applied for or wanted. And I wasn't happy.
He took it because it was immediate.
It was immediate, they didn't pay.
Check clears, that's one thing.
My boss, in hindsight, I should have just stayed and kept my mindset differently, but, the boss was kind of a jerk, but honestly, it was better. I just go deal with some bullshit and come home at 5 o'clock every day. Like, it wasn't coming home with me every day, really. So I probably should have stayed there. But I was kind of done with it. I had no motivation. But the first year was hard because, I was by my parents' side when they died, but I don't have any kids. So there was a time when you're like thinking, like, well, I'm 50, my dad died at 80. Less than half my life is left. There's not going to be who's going to be next to me when I die. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that, going through my head.
But also, you got 30 years left.
I do. That's the other side of it, right? And that was kind of when I decided, and it took me, honestly, a few years to kind of get motivated to do something. I traveled for a while, which lost its appeal a little bit as a full-time or even half-time gig. And I didn't hate not getting up and going to work for someone I didn't like.
Yeah.
Sitting in a cubicle on conference calls, which is what I did and what most of my friends still do. I feel bad for that, but I then realized that I can't keep doing nothing.
Yes. I agree.
At my age. Maybe at 70, I'm around other people. It's at my age you don't do anything and we do nothing together, but
So taking the analogy of, you got 30 years left, what were you doing at 30 and how would have you changed what you're doing today and what you know now at 30? Not the 18-year-old bit.
Right, that's crap.
Yeah.
30, I had not been in Atlanta that long. I had a really good job. I should have moved to a more area that would have been better socially.
Yeah.
Instead, I moved to the suburbs. Bought a boat, but really never had the social connections to use the boat much because Atlanta's, you struggle to keep friends outside your immediate neighborhood in Atlanta. You have to work hard.
Really? Okay.
I mean, a 17-mile drive in Atlanta, 17 miles here gets you pretty far.
Yeah.
I mean,
I live out in Antioch, and I think I'm 12.5 miles.
Yeah. 17 miles in Atlanta, even on a good day, can be an hour drive. So the idea of going to a meetup for this when nobody might show up, it's easy to unmotivate yourself to do those kind of things. Whereas if I could walk, I would have walked here today if the weather was nice, and I would have enjoyed the walk. So just little things like that, it was hard to do. Why am I? You can't be 30 and 40, living in the suburbs with no kids. Whenever it's stupid.
Yeah.
It was a stupid choice. I convinced myself I wanted this big house and a boat, so I moved out in the suburbs, which was supposed to be closer to the lake, and I was close to work. And the advice I'll give anybody today is, you have to consider commutes. If you go to an office, but live where you want to live. Don't live where you work. Like, I would have much rather spent an extra hour in the car driving every day
to work,
so that I could walk out my front door and walk down the street and meet a friend on a patio.
That's good advice.
Or walk a half mile into town and go to a festival.
Yeah.
Or just walk. Like, I lived in New York City for 3 years, and I enjoyed just getting out and walking. I didn't care that I have a car. I was just walking.
Tell me about New York, because I visited it once and hated it. Because I'm a tree guy. I need trees.
There's some trees in New York.
At the park.
So I was always a suburbs guy, so I wasn't really a country guy or a city guy. I was a suburbs, middle-class suburbs guy. And then worked for Showtime, the cable network.
Yeah.
For 3 years in Dallas.
Okay.
And
Dallas is great.
Went to, similar to Atlanta. Went to New York a few times for business trips. We had pretty generous travel and bring you up for meetings and training. And like every time I come back, I'm like, hey, it's nice to visit, but there's no way I'll live there. There's no way I'll live there. There's no way I'll live there. And then they're like, you want to live there? I'm like, yes. Because I was just like, I have to do it. Like, I like the excitement. I like the excitement.
It's a different place than anywhere else. Yeah.
I like the excitement and walk out and stuff is going on. And walk places. And you walk down the street, and then you're in the middle of a farmer's market kind of thing that they just set up on a street market, street festival. Like, I just like go to the museum, go to the theater, just being able to do that kind of stuff. That interesting.
And also the transportation, you do have the subways or...
The subways they were a little dirty. This was like kind of actually before Rudy cleaned it up. They were a little dirty, and you come out, you're walking down the stairs and you smell
I will say, it smelled like death. Like, subways, like, if I had to describe it, I would have said death.
But I've been to London, I've been to a lot of other cities. I just think it's cool. You walk down a hole and pop up in a completely different part of the city, which in New York and London and stuff can be very different.
Yeah.
One can be high-rise buildings where you can't really, the sun doesn't get through, and then the next thing can be more of a neighborhood or a park, and you just like magically appear.
I don't think I ever found a neighborhood in New York.
Yeah.
Where we were in...
Actually, there's really nice neighborhoods out in like the other boroughs, Brooklyn and stuff like that. I never ever got out there. But the high rise of Midtown versus the Wall Street district versus even just not that far away on the east side, they'd be very different environments.
Yeah.
Glass building, glass high rises versus things that look like Second Avenue.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
So just 3 years there.
Just 3 years there. I would have stayed, but the job offer I had in Atlanta was kind of ridiculous. So
it was different. I mean, for 3 years, you kind of...
I experienced it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to move to I'm sure, who knows, but I'm pretty sure I would not have moved to the suburbs, which would have been a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Train ride, most likely, each way.
Yeah.
1 hour each way, like at least 2 hours, probably at least 2 hours of total commute a day. Like, and then you have to shovel snow off your driveway to get to the train station. Like, yeah, no thanks.
So what kind of weather person are you? Or
I like it warmer. I mean, I don't mind seasons, but yeah,
Georgia can get pretty swampy, I feel like. A little humid.
Yeah, but no, it's not that much different than here. I guess here might get a little colder. But Atlanta does get a lot of rain, but usually you get it.
Okay.
I've seen
from the hurricanes.
I've seen things that say Atlanta gets more rain than Seattle, but but compressed.
Yeah.
So the weather was great in Atlanta. Like, that was why I didn't move to Austin. I'm like, it's flat, it's brown, it's kind of hottish. It's cool that it's 90 degrees in February. Like, I'm not gonna, not always. Like, sometimes you get like summer and spring weather in January and February in Texas. Fairly commonly. I'm not gonna complain about that, but I don't want 100 degrees outside and everything's just flat.
It's funny, like, even my profile picture on Meetup is me standing next to the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
So you graduated from?
University of Texas.
Okay.
Longhorns.
Welcome. Are you a sports fan?
Yeah, mostly a college football sports fan. They haven't really done anything for us for...
They just fired their coach, didn't they?
They just fired the coach. After saying they weren't going to fire the coach, they then fired the coach.
Did he deserve it?
That's debatable. I think one of the big debates is whether 3 years is enough. It's not your team.
On a COVID year too?
That's true. But it's not your team after 3 years. It really still isn't your team here.
Yep. You still have at least 2 rounds of freshmen that are yours, but...
Right. But they're
not
maybe
playing.
redshirting, right? They're not playing, right?
Yeah.
So they're not playing much. So, yeah. And we fired the guy after 3 years, so...
Don't remember him.
He was the Charlie Strong, black guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with that.
He was like, I don't even know if he was a head coach before we hired him, but then he became like the University of Central Florida head coach for a while, but then I don't.
Which is a good job.
Which is not a bad job, but probably more suited. I don't know if he's still there, but
yeah.
That was a mistake. He did not have support.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of it because of being black, I'm sure, but there's a lot of people that give money to the Texas university system, and
they're
not the most progressive. They want who they want. That's how they live their lives anyway. They're power brokers, and they want who they want anyway. And he wasn't who they wanted, but they're also not the most progressive people either. So there was a lot of criticism that he wasn't given a chance because he was black, but he was also seemed to be not up to the task. He wasn't on the caliber, and he wasn't capable. You have to manage the donors.
Yeah. They are the ones who run everything.
And Texas recruits from Texas, so you really have to be able to manage that environment, and he was criticized for not being a good recruiter.
There's just so many schools in Texas.
And so many schools that are good that take all the good players out of Texas.
Yeah.
So the new guy is from, where's he from? Alabama.
Okay, so that's the same way with UT, the Tennessee UT. Yeah. They got a defensive coordinator from Alabama, so
this is either the offensive or defensive coordinator. This might be the guy that replaces your guy. How long have you been Tennessee's coach been there?
I think this is his 3rd year. I'm a Kentucky fan. I just know Tennessee stuff. Yeah, I don't have a choice but to listen to him. Yeah, it's tough to go back to the Vince Young days for y'all.
The funny thing is, we have all these quarterbacks, and we're always like, oh, well, like even the quarterback that's leaving, set all these records and did all these things, and then none of them make it in the NFL.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not as uncommon because not that many people can make it in the NFL, but it's funny just because it's like, these are the heroes of Texas, and they're like, that was like the peak.
It's like you're supposed to be like the #1 quarterback in Texas, and then go to Texas, but.
We had Ricky Williams, we had Vince Young.
I forgot about Ricky. Yeah.
All of them flamed out. One of our guys became a coach and actually was one of our assistant coaches for a while. He was a quarterback.
Yeah.
But we haven't yet. I mean, since I guess we were we won the national championship, and then we came back and Alabama killed us in the national championship after taking out our quarterback on like the first down. And that's it. That was it. That was like 15 years ago. And
okay, I was gonna ask, when was that?
That was I forget when that was, but it was
after Vince.
Yes, Vince won the Super Bowl, and then I guess he was gone, and then we had a different quarterback. And he was good. He was strong. We were still the underdog for that game, but he literally went out on the first play. And I was in the crowd, and that was when I probably had a BlackBerry phone, and like I couldn't get a message through. I couldn't get a text through. I couldn't get a phone call through. We literally didn't know what was going on. People were like, "I don't think he's in the game. I think they took him off the field." But you can't watch the replay on your phone at that time. So we were like literally in the crowd, and finally like halfway through the game, text messages were coming through from people who had texted me earlier. And they're like, he's out. Like, what a awesome.
Yeah, if they don't show it on the Jumbotron, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, it wasn't really clear. If it was an announcement, we missed it. So like, that was just a miserable game. And Texas has been mediocre ever since. Mac Brown should have left. He became kind of like a
meme.
I was going to say Penn State, Paterno. He was there too long.
Okay.
I
thought it was in the...
Not the controversy.
Okay.
Not the... And And he wasn't there as long as Paterno. Like
Paterno was on.
Like my dad went to Penn State, and Paterno was there on the staff somewhere.
Yeah.
And he just died 5 yeyears ago at 80, like basically the year Paterno was out, I guess.
Yeah.
And but he was there too long, and I think it doesn't matter if it's a football team or a corporation or a presidency. You can't have somebody in there for too long because it just corrupts. There's not gonna.
If you get to that point,
Nick Saban might be in a different example. He may be the exception of the rule, but
yeah,
you lose.
But he hasn't plateaued, so you can't really.
Yeah, but after he plateaus, then they'll go back and look and say, well,
yeah,
he should have left.
I think he'll retire.
But like in a big organization, like you lose creativity. You lose people. You don't get hired people that will challenge you, that criticize you.
And as times change, you're sticking to what worked in it.
Yep. So I think Mac Brown should have gone out earlier on a high note if he wasn't able to reinvent himself. And I guess he's coaching somewhere else now, and maybe that's the opportunity to reinvent himself. Yeah. And maybe he'll be successful at that. But like, yeah, at some point it's just like, nah, you need to go. You need to bring new blood in here. You know.
They went, I guess, Charlie Strong immediately after that.
Yeah. So I guess Mac Brown's been gone for 7 years, maybe 8 years, 7 years, 8 years. Yeah, 3 and 3, I guess.
Did you play any sports in high school, or didn't? I mean, IT guy, I assume you were just a whiz on the computer.
Yeah, less so now. I'm not. Obviously, I can't keep up with it. I never programmed, and I got exposed to it young.
Yeah.
So that made me able to like get some opportunities later that I did get, but I just don't care anymore.
I mean, things update every year.
Yeah, I mean, my job was administration more than, especially as I stayed in my career longer and my company grew around me, my organization grew around me, I became a manager. But I did the computers, phones, and later the real estate.
Yeah.
I was the infrastructure guy. All the plumbing. The kind of stuff you don't care about until it breaks.
Glue.
I wasn't writing software or doing anything like that. I was just the plumbing.
Yeah.
So I had already been, after 15 years, I had done, I replaced everybody's computer every 4 years. So I was, on like my 4th round of replacing everybody's computer. And like 3rd or 4th round, at least, of a major Microsoft Office upgrade. Which is a big deal when you've got to make 1,000 people's get changed.
I can only imagine.
None of that was interesting anymore. After doing it 3 or 4 times, it was not interesting anymore.
And getting all the emails like, well, this isn't working. What's going on here?
You're changing shit. I liked it the way it was before.
Dude, I'm just.
I wanted a better computer, but I got to buy 2,000 computers over the next 4 years. So
you got a budget.
I got to make some choices, But after doing that so many times, it was like no longer interesting. It was just same thing, slightly different, but exactly the same. Wasn't really exciting. The company was doing well. The company had exciting stuff going on, and I probably should have allowed myself to leave my comfort. That would be the other advice I would give my 30-year-old self.
Which is
the same thing we were talking about football coaches. Yeah. You need to change yourself. You need to leave your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I should have worked in a totally different. I mean, I probably was never going to be a salesman, but I should have left my management job in the IT area that I was completely comfortable with because I started there and grew it from the ground up and knew everything, literally memorized everything, and should have gone to a completely different part of the company.
Yeah.
Done a different job, even if it was only for a year or two, and then changed. And
take a pay cut even.
Could have gone to accounting for a year or two. Could have gone to manufacturing for a year or two. Would have left myself with a much more diverse set of skills and resume.
Yeah.
Kind of just left the whole career track. I've just basically abandoned the whole career track. I had a career track. And if I had stayed there,
I'm on the same path too.
I could have had a completely different career. I mean, I could have gone to a lot of other different companies and done something I never predicted doing.
Yeah.
If I had manufacturing, back office, and product experience.
What's a job posting you saw that you wish you would have taken, or at least applied for, or gotten? Just out of funness, I guess.
there would have been an argument for me leaving that company, but the opportunities within that company were still pretty large. I could have. We made restaurants out there. I could have gone more to the technical job, but on the product side.
Yeah.
Not writing the software, because that wasn't my skill set or interest level, but I could have done that. I could have gone and we made the hardware, the touchscreen hardware. I could have gone and worked in the group that made that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have just done completely different jobs. I mean, if I was hiring someone for a job today, I mean, that's what I would look for. It's somebody that did everything. That did a lot of things. Not everything. Just a broad experience.
For me, like, I've been on the side of hiring and firing people, and I just want somebody I can trust. Like, will you have a student mentality, and can I trust you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Can you do a little bit of it all? Maybe not, but can you at least learn it?
Just have a diversity of skills. Because were you able to adapt? Because I don't want to hire someone who can't adapt.
Yeah.
All I did was wrote my little code in this one particular language, and that's all I want to do. While the company will need to move beyond that.
Yeah.
And they'll need you to help us decide to move beyond that. And if you don't have it, like I had one guy working for us, he was older. He was older when we hired him. He was older when he left. He babysitted the computer systems that literally need someone waking up every day and watching them.
Wow.
And we needed that. And sometimes that is hard to, if it's old technology, that is hard to hire. There are governments out there running 30-year-old software, and they can't hire people with the ability or willingness to want to work on it.
Because I would say most new people hired are like, well, why don't we just go ahead and revamp the entire thing?
Well, they don't even take the job. They have to take the job.
Yeah.
They want to know, what do you work with? What tools do you work with? What am I going to get to do if I come work here? So I generally always wanted to hire someone who could do stuff. I didn't care about your school.
Yeah.
It wasn't really good.
You got a 3.8 GPA. Cool.
Well, that's great that you have that, and I'll weigh that. But like for IT stuff, especially like technicians that were like installing servers and putting PCs in people's hands, I wanted to know that you could do it, and I wanted to know you generally had good character and that you were like a hard worker. And like if I asked you one morning to do something you never did before, you'd say, "Okay, I'll do my best." And it's,
Do you have questions? Just ask.
Yeah. And it was probably a little bit too much of a micromanager, but generally I gave people a lot of room.
Yeah. As long as you feel, it seems like you found a good balance. It takes a lot of learning and skill set too to manage people.
Yes. And that was one thing I was burned out on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss the personnel review.
Yeah.
Time of the year.
So
what do you do?
Nothing now.
Okay.
So I was part of that COVID. I was in the event industry. I traveled a ton for it and putting on events, and why can we get together? So I've just been hanging out.
Yeah.
2021, I start February 1st doing a health coaching job, but I'm kind of just hosting my own meetup now and seeing where it goes.
So what kind of events?
Corporate gigs.
Corporate events.
Corporate company picnics even.
Right. And you did logistics or something technical or?
All of it. So planned logistics, on-site making it happen. Like we did John Deere's 175th anniversary or something like that. So it was
probably a big event.
Very big event.
How many attendees?
Through the weekend, 75,000. That's what we called for. I don't know if we ever got that number.
That was the budget. That was the plan, right?
Making sure the stage was set, and you got the carnival games for the kids, and you got concessions and vendors, and so it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Going back to that travel thing, burnt out on it at some point. So,
and obviously, that all shut down.
Yeah, and if it comes back, I don't think I'll do it, but because I moved here for a promotion within the company, so I was like, great, and then.
And is the company still here? Are they in hibernation?
I think hibernation pretty bad.
Hoping they can come back.
When they told me they had to let me go, they let out 85% of the company. It is what it is, and I understood it. So
of course,
they had to do what they had to do to keep their doors open. So they've got a warehouse full of inventory.
I was going to ask, do they have any assets? Because if they didn't have any assets, that would be even better.
I know they are severely behind on rent. I don't know how they're keeping afloat. But yeah, so I don't know. And it's been a pleasure talking with you because I did like hearing, change things frequently.
Change things out of your comfort zone.
I started as a social worker and ended up doing events with carnival games.
Yeah, that's good. And then now the health coaching, that's one-on-one, like personal training? Health coaching?
It's on the phones, health coaching. I don't know exactly what to expect.
So it's through an organization. It's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you setting out. It's through an organization.
I thought about doing that, but it still takes time to grow clientele. People don't have money. So I don't know. I still don't know what I'm going for. I just know I have a job. And I'll take it. Yeah. I don't need the money, but I really like some money right now. But yeah, that's what I've been doing.
And then you see yourself doing that indefinitely, or is it stopgap until things get back to normal?
It is. Weirdly enough, when I applied for it, it happened to be through a temp agency, which I didn't know. So that's at least 90 days.
Right.
It's something I enjoy doing, especially in a former social work background and somebody who works out 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I enjoy health coaching and like helping people reach their goals. So will I like it? In some aspects, will I not like it? Working on the phones all day, just like calling people and talking to them. We'll see.
And they're buying basically a service. That's who you're talking to, or are you talking to like corporations buying these for their employees?
From my understanding, it's like the business you're in and the insurance that you would have had through your IT. If you go through this company and reach their goals and metrics, you get a discount on your insurance. Does that make sense?
Like when you go work for a company and they give you all these benefits, one of these benefits is this health coaching service that 90% of the people never use.
And if you keep up with, they don't use it, but they'll like make the phone call just to like say they did it.
Yeah.
That'll be me on the other end.
Yeah.
It's money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
My insurance that I bought was on my own. Like they're always constantly hitting me up with opportunities to improve your wellness because it's in their interest.
Yeah. Like if you're a smoker, do these steps to stop smoking and you'll get $5 off a month.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which makes sense. So,
it does. Yeah. How often do the people at the COVID testers get tested?
When I volunteered there at the beginning, with Hands on Nashville.
Okay, yeah.
I volunteered with them at the beginning, and that was whenever I wanted to go, and I was really not face-to-face with them. And then later, after I got hired, then I started being face-to-face. And even then, we still didn't have, like, a regular testing routine. We could always walk up and just write out your own paperwork and say, test me, and there was never any problem with that.
Yeah.
But then at some point, I think a few people around it, whether they got it at the site, at some point, we just started going weekly.
So weekly.
At some point, we just started going weekly. So we just all got tested weekly. My problem right now is I'm actually still registering a positive test, which is not unusual at all.
Yeah.
The test is so sensitive. It'll catch you at the beginning before you might be that infectious. And then it'll catch you in the middle when you're very infectious. But it'll keep catching you way on the back end.
Huh.
I'm at the point now where it's far more likely I'm going to test negative, but I haven't.
But it's still registering.
It's still, all you need to do is cough up a tiny bit. I'm looking to see if I have an email. All I have to do is cough up a tiny bit of dead genetic material, and that test will register.
Like that one place you didn't floss, it's just kind of
in there. I've done rinses and stuff, but I think it's in your chest. I mean, but like I went to the doctor, and I didn't have a doctor, so I just finally let me set up with the doctor, and I let them know my time frame, and they're like, oh, yeah, you're fine. You can come in. Like, you don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have COVID. And then I got in, I was talking to him, I said I just got a PCR test, and he looked at me like, what the hell are you, why are you doing that? It's stupid.
Like PCR?
PCR is the test that we do at the drive-thru. It's called a PCR test.
Yeah.
It's the one that looks for genetic material.
So why was he amazed that you were...
Because we had already gone through my situation, and I am recovering from COVID.
Yeah.
Whether I'm 100% healthy is a different story, but that doesn't mean I have COVID. I'm recovering. And
I'm a recovering COVID addict.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically, so I said I was getting tested like 18 days after my positive test. He's like, there's no reason for you to do that. It's probably going to be positive. You know you've had COVID, and you know you're recovering.
It's quit wasting your time.
Like, why are you? And then I said, well, my employer, which coincidentally is making me do it. But he's like, it's done. He's like, I got it. And I came back to work after 10 days.
Are you still allowed to go work?
Now they won't let me work.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
So that's why you definitely keep getting tested.
Yes. And I probably should just go like once or twice. I mean, I went like 4 out of 5 days last week. I'm waiting for Friday.
You know, I'm sure if you go out to the farmer's market, there's a good herbal remedy to get rid of COVID that they...
Well, you can do it. Like literally, it's picking. I mean, it can pick up the most minute. Do you know how the PCR test works?
No.
So you've seen a DNA that's like that wrapping thing.
Yeah.
So an RNA is 1/2 of those, I guess, or something. Anyway, so what a PCR test does is whatever's on the swab, they apply something to that swab that splits all the DNA in half.
Okay.
Or at least the COVID DNA in half. And then it mirror images it and matches it. So it splits it in half, but then restores it. And then it splits it in half and restores it. So if you know your exponential math, 40 times of that, you've gone from 1 particle to 40 million particles. Something, or a million. You've gone from 1 particle to 1 million particles after doing that splitting and recombining, splitting and doubling. And
so you're just multiplying it a crap ton.
Multiplying it is why a PCR test has to be sent to a lab because it takes like 4 to 6 hours to run. They do that, and they apply a chemical to double it, then they split it, double it, and split it. And they test it each time. So what would be nice to see is how many times they had to do that, splitting and doubling, before they registered something. Because that would indicate you kind of where you started from. They don't give you that information on our tests. I don't even know if they check it. They may just run it 40 times and stop, or 35 times.
Then after,
In order just to do mass testing, I don't know if they're.
Well, and it's free. I don't think they're going to reprogram whatever they have.
Well, and just because it's high volume. I mean, you can go read about the PCR things and like there's a debate as to whether you should do it 40 times or whether you should only do it 30 times, because I mean, you will pick up if you keep doing it. You probably will register a positive test on somebody who had COVID. I mean, I guess in theory you can get somebody who inhaled a little COVID particle and coughed it right back out. You could test them positive. So all you need is like just a little bit in your nose or chest on the day you get tested.
It's going to test.
Yeah. And if you didn't know you had COVID, it might be useful information. But you already know you had COVID. It's not useful information.
Yeah.
The test itself has absolutely no measurement of infectiousness. I mean, if they gave you the information on how much they found, that might be useful. But when they only give you yes or no,
it's just like politics. Like you're either a Republican or Democrat. You can't be anything else. Which one is it?
Yeah. Without telling you how much of one you are.
Yeah.
But like a COVID, if you know you were exposed and you don't have symptoms, or you're starting to have symptoms, and you test positive on this test, it's useful information.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of your worst symptoms and you want to know that it's COVID and not the flu, it's useful information.
Yeah.
Once you already know that you've had COVID, or suspect it, but you're 10 days out and your symptoms have recovered, it's not useful information. It's just information, So, So that's the problem with the test. It'd be nice if there's not a test that says you're really infectious right now and you're about to be infectious and you're no longer infectious. That test doesn't have to do that information.
And I think that's what we would need. Or like
if you're bored, drive down there and get tested and see. How many weeks has it been since your either test or symptoms?
My last day quarantining was January 1st.
Same here, we're in the same time frame.
Yeah.
So if you're bored, go get a free test and see what it says.
I don't want to wait in line for an hour and a half. That's my thing.
Go at the end of the day.
Okay.
They've been shifting the schedule. I mean, there's really no need for you to go. If you wanted to, or if anybody else needs to go, tell them they post the schedule changes due to weather, and if they shift the schedule so that it's warmer when we open and it can stay open later.
Yeah.
That last hour, there's no measurement.
Smart.
Yeah. And Mondays are always worse than later.
I think I went on a Tuesday.
I drive to my pro entrance, so.
That's not fair. You can't do that.
I've driven through the line a couple times when it wasn't too busy, or just like one time just to
you can
experience it. But I can drive in the back door.
You can gauge it.
I just drive in 5 or 10 minutes before the door and drive out.
Take a couple from home and just be like, hey, test that right quick.
You might test positive, and that should, unless you are redeveloping symptoms and your symptoms are getting worse, Because the reason they come up with a 10-day rule is they did do a little bit of...
It was 2 weeks. It was 14 days.
Well, the 14 days is if you just think you're... I mean, it might have been 14 days at the beginning. But the 14 days today is if you think you're exposed.
Okay.
Because you don't know if you'll have symptoms in 2 days or 8 days.
Yeah. Give yourself that time.
Give yourself that time to develop symptoms and then recover from them.
Yeah.
For me, I was negative on a Friday, positive on Monday, so I pretty much have a good starting point.
Yeah.
Right? I know when my first day started, more or less.
Yeah.
So I know I'm 10 days. They don't say 10 days because you're infectious in 9.5 days. They say 10 days because most people probably aren't infectious by 5 days. You're the most infectious before you even realize you have it, symptom-wise. And once you peak on your symptoms, your infectiousness is ending.
Yeah, it's on a decline.
It's on a decline. And if you have a fever that you successfully work your way through, that's...
My mom's husband is a doctor, and he even mentioned, on ibuprofen, they say only take this much because they know people are going to double that amount just because.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same thing with quarantine.
Exactly.
A couple days. I mean, I don't think double, but even going back to them, they were part of my bubble. My mom tested positive. He tested negative, but was still sick as a dog. So it was kind of like, you both have it. But.
Yeah, and I've talked to several people because that's what I do is the paperwork to go through their symptoms. And it's really just for research anyway. It doesn't change anything. But we have conversations and somebody went through that like, this person in my bubble has all these symptoms, or I have all these symptoms, and I'm testing negative. That's strange.
Very strange.
It's just entirely psychosomatic.
Could be, you never know. We're all living in a matrix or something like that.
And there was another study I just saw where they said they tested a bunch of people, and they've published it now, so it might have been 2 months ago or something like that. Basically, 90% of the people they tested after 8 months had very strong antibodies. And it was only 8 months because that was basically the people they had to test. Back to when it really started in America, that was really basically all they had anyway. So basically they're saying it's indefinite at this point because they really don't have any data to say it's not.
So what have they really said about people getting reinfected? I know there's new strands, and
they're saying the new strand looks enough like the old strand. They don't think that that'll be like a different disease.
Okay.
They think there's enough overlap between them, and that's the same for the vaccine.
Kind of one of those things where it's like 94.7% similar. So
yeah, right, exactly. So like the flu, like when you get the flu vaccine and it happens to match what you're getting, you're very well protected. If only half matches what's circulating, because it's a mutation and you're good. So yeah, so they're basically kind of saying it's indefinite at this point until they have better data.
So when I was growing up, and I saw things about, even when I saw Asian cultures wearing masks, and SARS or swine flu, I really don't even know, H1N1, whatever. I always saw that and I was like, okay, whatever, it doesn't apply to me. But now I'm actually living it. And like, oh, this applies to me. So
I was always freaked out traveling, seeing people wearing masks.
Yeah.
And I never understood whether they thought they were sick or they were or I thought they were
just paranoid little people.
Paranoid,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So what have you seen from those days of swine flu to now? Obviously, right now it's a way different case, but you get what I'm asking?
You personally, or like?
Yeah.
I mean, I have no more. I mean, I have a job where I'm in the middle of it, but before that, I had really no experience, and I didn't know really anything more than most Americans know. It's obvious that those countries have done better because they had a scare. More than a decade ago. And people tried to warn us over here that it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And they still didn't, we obviously didn't heed the warnings. But, I mean, I'm sure flu will be way down for a few years. And hopefully people will be less likely to get up and go to work when they're sick. And I think no matter what they're sick with.
I think from here on out during winter months, people are just going to wear masks anyway.
That'll go on for a while. That'll probably disappear really fast. But I hope they'll do it when they think they might be sick and they don't run out.
Like, I think it'll happen next winter. But after that, and just like the super paranoid people, like, I've already got it. I don't really care. So
I'm hoping people will just hey, I've got something, cold, flu, whatever. I'm not going to go sit in my office and have meetings with people.
Just don't be an asshole. That's what.
Of course, I know people that did that still do that now. So
yeah,
you hope some percentage of the population will be slightly more.
So people are either Nazis about it or just like it's on you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the great part about America. You can at least freely say what you want.
Yeah. Funny thing you said, events, is like, that was something I thought maybe I might have interest in doing. Not so much the traveling, which I don't know, you know, that may be challenging to find work, any kind of regular work where I would need to travel. But I'd be interested in doing some of that just because I don't want to sit in a cubicle.
Yep, and you wouldn't sit in the cubicle.
And as much as it's kind of miserable right now, and was miserable in the summer, I generally liked working outside.
Yep.
I just like being out on my feet and doing stuff and not sitting in a cubicle.
And that's exactly what. There's actually a ton of temp services that we would hire. Just get some, because we went to rural
You're not going to
Iowa.
move these people around.
Yeah, we can't get a team of 100 at one point in time. Usually we gave money to high schools and got some cheerleaders or football groups.
Do it for free, but with a donation.
Yeah. They never worked for free.
Right. But they didn't get paid.
100% they did not.
Yeah.
And then we got some temp laborers too, but it'll be out there, especially when things roll back out.
Yeah.
You could do it.
Yeah.
You even work security doing.
I volunteered to pour beer at beer festivals. Decided I actually liked that because I actually drank a little less.
Yeah.
Then I still drank, even though they tell you as soon as you get there you're not allowed to drink.
You have to be able to like tell people what they're drinking.
Yeah. They make it very clear you're legally not allowed to be pouring and drinking, and then they turn their head.
But then you grab one of those. You don't know what's in it.
And they're like, and you're not even allowed to have any of the sample glasses. You know, and they tell us where to get the sample glasses.
Kick it underneath the table.
But yeah, I would like doing that, and then maybe like be a supervisor and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, because I'm in a position where I don't have to work, it doesn't have to be regular. But I missed a regular. I'm missing going and getting every day now.
Agreed.
Just because people.
A routine. Yeah.
Routine and social.
Agreed, and that was another reason I started this, because I knew what I did every Sunday morning, which was come here and just sit alone. I usually work on the computer, I set my goals and whatnot, but just miss talking.
Yeah.
It's been nice. I got one last question for you. Vampires or werewolves? Calm down now.
The question is funny because there was somebody we worked with who would always just do that.
Yeah.
Chipmunk or groundhog?
It depends which. I mean, chipmunk's got those teeth.
Vampire seems more. You said vampire. You said
Vampire and werewolf.
Vampire just seems more edgy.
Okay. All right.
Werewolves are just big hairy animals.
They are. I mean, they only come out. I mean, when a full moon's out. What if it's cloudy? You won't even see one.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Silly question.
So you're gonna keep doing this?
Yeah, I'll be here every Sunday that I'm in town.
Maybe shift. You're gonna do shift the time, maybe. It's a choice of like whether people are gonna show up.
Yeah, I know Sunday's the time I want to do it. I figured this would be a good time. I know it's cold. Once it's warmer, I think that'll
people might get up,
out.
be more motivated.
When they saw it's 30 degrees when they walk.
You're always gonna have people that had all the good intentions and then went out there.
Yeah, and I expected that too.
Maybe. And you think you're just doing here?
For now, especially when Farm City Coffee's open.
Yeah. L&L Market, you been there?
No.
Old Patriot Brewing is in there.
Okay.
It's on Charlotte, that way.
L&L?
Called L&L Market. It's an old warehouse building that they turned into a discount thing.
Okay.
With independent restaurants, and then some of them have their own seating, but then there's a common area.
Yeah, and I have no problem moving. I just knew what I knew of here, and I was like, this will work.
And consistency might not be a bad idea, but then if you decide, hey, I just want to change it up, that's like what I'm going to start doing, is like just going down there some days instead of like, because you can get a cup of coffee, sit on a sofa, and read a book, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's indoor open like this, and I don't feel
and you have to respect the social distancing rules too.
But it wasn't that busy when I was there, and then nobody hovering, no server hovering over you when you get out of your table.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Chill.
If I can, over the next 2 weeks, if I can get more of a group, then I'll know. Move on.
Yeah, get a group and then ask the group if they want to try it for it to come in the same place. Thanks for organizing.
Thank you for coming. Had a pleasure meeting you. Hopefully I'll see you next week. What do you got planned for this?